Welcome. I'm Bob DiStefano with SVM Industrial Marketing. As 2025 is coming to a close, it's time for us to evaluate our marketing and sales success for the past year and plan for a successful 2026. And when most of you do this, you may realize that you're losing deals that you just are not sure why. Your products are good, your pricing is competitive, your sales team is very sharp, but you're still losing business to companies that you may have never heard of. Now, over the past 18 months, since tools like ChatGPT have become mainstream, I've audited hundreds of industrial websites to understand exactly what's changing. And I know what's happening. And today I'm going to show you why this is happening and exactly how to win in 2026. Now, I have prepared material here, but as we go, I want to make sure that I'm answering your questions. So be sure to drop your questions in the Q&A box. I'm going to save time at the end to answer as many of these as I can live. And without further ado, let's dig in and talk about exactly what's happening in the marketplace right now. Now, what's happening is that AI has changed how buyers buy. And 78% of the buying process now happens before they ever call your salespeople. In the traditional sales process, if a customer had a problem, they would reach out to a salesperson. Uh, and the salesperson guided the entire process. They held discovery calls to uncover needs. They educated them on possible solutions, walked them to a decision. And sales own the entire timeline. They own the information. They own the relationship. They drove the entire process. But let's look at today's AI-enabled buyer's journey, where 78% of the research process is done without you, without sales. Buyers are not picking up the phone first anymore. They're starting with tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and they're using these tools to diagnose their problem, to research possible solutions, and build a short list of companies to reach out to. Now, the important thing here is that the AI is creating their evaluation criteria and telling them exactly who to call. So by the time they finally reach out to your salespeople, it's not a discovery call anymore. It needs to be a validation call. The buyer has already decided what they want, who they want it from, and what they expect to pay. So your reps aren't just uncovering needs during a discovery process like they used to. They need to confirm the decisions that the buyer has come up with, the decisions that they made when they're performing their own research. And that's why your best salespeople may feel like in some sales calls, they're showing up in the fourth quarter of a game that's already been played. The buyer's already doing their homework, and the AI is their consultant the entire way. Now, here's the crazy part. If you're not in that AI-generated shortlist at the beginning, you may never get a chance to compete. And that's why you are invisible during this part of the sales process and why you're missing out on these deals. I call this the hidden pipeline, and that's where your deals are won and lost when buyers are performing their own research. So that shift that salespeople need to make from discovery to validation is exactly why the traditional sales playbook is not working any longer. And today I'm going to show you exactly what will win in 2026. So that's what's changed. Buyers are doing research on their own. They always were doing it in the past, leveraging Google and other search tools, but AI has really amped things up, and AI is helping them build a short list without visiting any websites. So by the time they call, they already know who they're talking to. So what do you do about this? This is the system that I developed that works. It's 5 strategies. These strategies map to the way that buyers actually make decisions now so that you can stay in control from the moment they start looking until they're ready to buy. Strategy 1 is you need to own the AI shortlist. When a buyer asks ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini who the best suppliers are in your category, you need to be in that answer. Not your competitor, not some foreign post. It needs to be you, your company. Strategy number 2 is you need to answer questions before buyers ask. Make your website the most helpful resource that buyers can find. Specifications, comparisons, um, how they work in different situations, honest trade-offs, put it all out there. Don't make buyers hunt around for it. Don't make them fill out forms to see this basic information. Make it front and center. Strategy number 3, prove that you're the best choice. What you need to do is put real proof right where buyers are making their decision. Named customers, certifications you've earned, real results with real numbers. Put them right on the page where buyers are deciding whether to call you or whether to click away and call someone else. Strategy number 4 is your salespeople need to run diagnostic sales calls instead of discovery calls. So when that buyer finally reaches out, we talked about how they've already done their discovery work. So the salesperson's job is to validate what they've learned, scope out the problem together, and then agree on what happens next. No generic demos, no disappearing after the first call. And then finally, strategy number 5 is you need to win on total cost, not on price. You need to publish the evaluation criteria and show the total cost of ownership before a buyer even asks for a quote. Stop just focusing on being the lowest price. When they run the numbers, when they're looking at the 5-year cost, the total cost of ownership, not just that sticker price, they'll see that a premium price in some cases makes sense. So that's it. 5 strategies, 1 buyer's journey. Let's dig in. Okay, let's start with the front door to revenue, and that is own the AI shortlist. As I said before, buyers don't start with your website or a cold call anymore. They start with a question. They're opening up ChatGPT or Gemini or AI overviews, and they are typing in, who are the best suppliers for fill in the blank, whatever they're looking for. And the answer they get determines who's in the game. So your job is simple. When that question gets asked, your company needs to show up in a way that feels credible, confident, and you're the obvious choice. If you're not there, you're not getting a chance to win, and you're invisible. So this isn't about chasing algorithms and SEO optimization hacks and all those tricks that people tried to use to bubble up in Google results. This is more strategic. It's about understanding where buyers start, the key questions that they have, and how you can earn your place in front of them. So let me show you how this looks. Okay, we're in a transition phase right now. Traditional Google results still exist, but now AI results and the use of AI is growing in prominence. So for decades, this is how buyers did their research. They'd type a question into Google, they'd see a page of blue links, they'd click around to figure out who's credible and bounce back and forth looking at various websites, doing the research that way. Now, this world isn't gone yet. This still exists. You're still seeing these links to a degree, but it is fading fast. What's happening more and more is that those same buyers are skipping those clicks and they're going to AI tools and they're asking the same types of questions, but a little bit more detailed. They want to know who are the best material handling suppliers in New Hampshire, for example. And instead of the 10 blue links, they're getting the answer. They're getting a short list. The AI is doing the sifting for them. It's comparing options. It's summarizing strengths and weaknesses and recommends who that buyer should call. And if your company is not showing up in these answers, you're not even in the consideration process yet. So that's what I mean by when I say show up in AI or you're going to sit out on those deals. And this is the world we are selling into now. Buyers are asking AI for a short list instead of scrolling through the search results and visiting websites. That change explains why much of the marketing that we've been funding in the past no longer works. And the problem isn't effort, it's allocation. It's where you're putting the funds. So let's start by cutting the 3 visibility money pits that companies are still wasting their industrial marketing budgets on. This is what I want you to cut so that you have funds that you can put towards what works. So we're going to be freeing up some budget right now. We're going to be freeing up some time so we can do the right things. I want you to stop these 3. First, generic SEO content. You know what I'm talking about. Thin, keyword-stuffed pages that AI is just ignoring now. These pages used to rank very well in Google to help you drive traffic. Now they're largely just a waste of money. Second, I want you to stop clicks without conversions. What that means is if you're running any paid ads, any pay-per-click, any display ads that are driving traffic to your website, but you're not getting leads or customers, that's wasted budget. That's wasted money. That's wasted effort. If it doesn't generate qualified opportunities, it's not working. Cut it. Number three, you want to cut your neglected paid directories. You may be paying for listings that you don't maintain. They're irrelevant. You're not getting much traffic. Your buyers really don't go there. And if buyers do go there, they may be seeing outdated information and move on. Stop neglecting your paid directories. Don't pay for them any longer, or make sure that the listings are up to date. Now, I'm pointing out these because the goal of this presentation is not to tell you you need to spend more on other marketing tactics. I'm trying to show you the tactics you should cut so that you can reallocate your budget towards the activities that will help you go from being invisible to showing up in those short lists. So let's talk about where that freed time and budget should go. It should go to these three things. These are the three winning moves that build visibility, they build trust, and they build authority. These are the same signals that AI and your buyers both use when they're deciding who belongs on that short list. So first, you want to publish how-to technical hubs on your website, content that teaches instead of selling. Second, you want to own the us versus them narrative when buyers want to see those comparisons. Make sure that buyers are reading your version of that story, not someone else's. And third, you need to strengthen your trust signals, those proof signals that you are the right company to work with. Credibility gaps, even small ones, can knock you off that short list before you even get a chance. So you want to make sure that you are strengthening the key signals that matter. So let's look at each of these in action. Okay, first, technical how-to hubs. Now, we used to think of content mostly as marketing collateral or useful sales information that we publish to our website, something to hand out after the sales call, but that's not how buyers are learning anymore. Today, buyers, they are going to AI tools when they're performing that research, and they're looking for teachers. They're not looking for advertisers. So when they're asking these tools a question, these AI tools look around thousands of websites and reward the ones that explain that answer the best. They want to provide the best answer. They don't care who yells the loudest. They care who teaches the clearest. So companies that show up in that AI shortlist aren't the ones with the biggest ad budgets. They're the ones that are publishing content on their websites that actually help buyers do their jobs better and answer those key questions that buyers have. So let me show you what this looks like. What should you be creating? Well, start with how-to guides. These are practical step-by-step answers to problems that your customers are facing day to day. Now, if someone could follow your article and safely complete a task, you've proven your expertise. And if you can produce as many how-to guides as your buyers have questions, you have a better chance of bubbling up in their short list. Next is technical explainers. You want to translate specifications and standards into a real world meaning that buyers can understand. If a buyer reads one of your articles, one of your explainers that says, now I finally understand this, you just earned their trust. Next, you want to build application walkthroughs, show your products in the field. And I'm not talking about glossy brochures. I'm talking about real working environments, real photos, real videos. This is gold because it demonstrates relevance and authority. And then finally, you want to answer the common questions that your salespeople hear every week. Every time a question comes in to your salespeople, you want to aggregate those, figure out what those most common questions are, and you want to answer those questions directly in your how-to technical hub. The quick test is if an answer can replace a sales call, you've built content that AI and your buyers will trust. Next, you want to own the us versus them narrative. Buyers are already comparing you, whether you realize it or not. Long before they ever reach out to your sales team, they're going to Google, they're going to AI tools, and they're typing in things like company A versus company B, or what are the best suppliers for this application. Those comparisons are no longer coming from your website. They're coming from forums, they're coming from Reddit, they're coming from review sites, they're coming from other places that have published these comparison articles. And AI's job is to go out there and summarize this information for the buyer and make sense of it. So, who's shaping these narratives? Someone else or you? If you're showing up in these comparisons, you want to make sure that you are controlling this narrative. The smart companies, they're taking control back. They're writing honest, balanced, you versus competitor pages that lay out the facts, who each company is best for, and what matters most in choosing the right partner. They're also creating category comparisons, like two different product categories like hydraulic versus electric lifts. Content that helps buyers understand the trade-offs even before they pick a brand that they may want to consider. And then finally, building evaluation checklists, teaching buyers how to make the right decision, because when you define the buying criteria, your strengths naturally become the standard. So transparency isn't risky anymore. It's the new trust signal, and AI and buyers will reward this clarity with helping you show up in that short list. So the quick test, if your educational content defines the buying criteria, you can control that short list. Third move is to strengthen your trust signals. Because both buyers and AI now verify your credibility. They verify what you are saying you can do for customers before they will shortlist you. And they don't just look at your website, it cross-checks your company across Google, LinkedIn, industry directories, any information it can find on you. And if the information is consistent or incomplete, it sees that as a trust gap. So I want you to think about it like this. Every profile you ever created, ThomasNet for your buying for your your industrial directory, your buying group directory, your Google business profile, your LinkedIn business page. These are all trust signals, and the more consistent those signals are, the higher your credibility will be. So here's what I want you to update or create. Complete all of your directory profiles. You are listed in a number of different directories, whether it's paid directories or it is association directories, buying group directories, whatever they may be. Find all of your directory profiles and then make sure that you are filling them out completely. Fully build up your Google business profile. That's if you search your company's name on Google and you see your company listed, maybe some photos and some other information. That's your Google business profile. Make sure it is up to date with your categories, products, and service areas, the best reflection of your company. Update your company's LinkedIn page. Add your specialties and make sure your team members are connected to it and that your team members have great LinkedIn profiles themselves. And then finally, publish certifications and memberships that AI can recognize. Anything that can help validate your legitimacy. So the simple test, if you place your company in a variety of different places and it all tells the same story, that's fantastic. AI knows it can trust you. So that's what visibility looks like in 2026. Okay, let's move on to the second strategy, which is answer your buyers' questions before they ask them. Why do you want to do this? Because the questions that are used to start a conversation with sales are now being asked somewhere else first. They're turning to Google, they're turning to AI, they're turning to tools like ChatGPT and Gemini and asking these questions. And the companies that win are the ones that own those answers early, not the ones that are sitting waiting for a phone call. I'm not just talking about blogging or dumping a bunch of information on your website. It's about strategically understanding the key questions that your buyers are asking on a daily basis, answering those questions by teaching and building their trust. So let me show you what this looks like in the real world. Here's what's happening right now, and I guarantee your customers are doing this today. Instead of calling your salespeople to ask these types of questions, they're going to AI tools. They're popping open ChatGPT or Gemini and they're asking, what does a hydraulic torque wrench cost? Who are the best suppliers of F1554 anchor bolts in Florida? What's better, hydraulic or mechanical torque wrenches? These are the same questions that used to make a great sales conversation, but now that conversation's happening without you. That's why I call this the silent sales call. Buyers are still learning, comparing, and narrowing down their short lists, but instead of getting their answers from sales, they're getting their answers from AI. And their AI is helping them shape their decisions long before sales ever gets a chance to weigh in. So the hard truth is, if your company isn't showing up in those answers, you're invisible where it matters most. So that's why this strategy is all about owning those questions, not just reacting to them once a buyer reaches out. We want to be proactive. So here's what happened when AI asks for help. Someone types in something like, who are the best material handling suppliers in New Hampshire? And instead of giving them those 10 blue links, AI gives them that answer, that short list. It's pulling from company websites, directories, profiles, case studies, anything it can verify. And if your company isn't publishing clear, specific content that AI can use to answer those questions, you're invisible where it matters most. So that's why answering questions early isn't just good marketing anymore. It's how you stay in the game. Because if you're not answering, AI is getting those answers from someone else. So before I tell you what to do, let's talk about the habits and tactics and strategies you should cut because it's not helping your visibility, and in some cases it may be hurting it. First, gating key information, putting too much information in front of a login or in front of a basic form. That may have worked for lead generation in 2015, but things have changed. We need to put that information front and center. When pricing, specifications, frequently asked questions are hidden behind forms, AI can't see them and neither can your buyers, and you're going to lose visibility before the conversation even starts. So stop thinking about generating leads by putting that login in front of your key information. We need to make it front and center. Second, unverifiable marketing claims. Words like best in class or leading provider may sound nice, but without proof, they're just filtered out. It's noise. AI and buyers reward evidence, not adjectives. Third is copy and paste product pages. Putting manufacturer's product descriptions in your e-commerce site may be very easy, distributors, but this boilerplate manufacturer's content, it doesn't show your unique expertise. Everyone is publishing the same information. AI is looking for you. It's looking for your voice, your context, your guidance, your expertise, not duplicated text that it's already seen on hundreds of other distribution sites. So these three tactics don't just fail, they actively block your visibility and trust. So now let's flip the lens and let's look at exactly what to create instead. Content that earns visibility because it actually answers your buyer's key questions. So let's talk about what actually works. Now, the companies that are winning now and will win in 2026 aren't just publishing random blog posts or product specifications. They're answering the real questions their buyers are asking every single day. Now, there are 5 categories of questions, and if you answer these well, you'll instantly separate yourself from 90% of your competitors. So I want to give a hat tip to Marcus Sheridan for this slide. Marcus developed these 5 categories in his book, Endless Customers. Definitely pick it up to learn more about this topic. I'm going to dig into it right now so that you have that overview. So the first category of questions is cost. Every buyer, every AI engine wants to know, how much does this cost? And if you can't post exact prices for your products, I get it. In some cases, you can't do that. Then explain what affects your costs. Explain what drives the value up. Explain what why the pricing varies. Provide ranges. Whatever you can provide to answer that cost question, that will help build trust and transparency. So be transparent, explain what affects price. Second is problems. People want to know what can go wrong. Don't hide from this. Don't hide from what can go wrong. Buyers are searching for potential issues. Is this reliable? What should I look out for? When you address these problems and these concerns openly, you position yourself as a trusted expert, not just another vendor. So share the pitfalls, share the limitations, and show them how to avoid them. Third is comparisons. Buyers compare everything, and AI does too. So instead of avoiding it, create honest content, us versus them, like I talked about before. Option A versus option B. When this solution makes more sense versus another solution. That's what wins trust early. Fourth is reviews. They want to know, what did the others say? So you need to show proof, share real customer success stories, real customer feedback, and measurable outcomes. These are the signals that AI uses to verify your credibility, and these are the signals that your buyer is looking for to say, yes, I do want to do business with you. And then finally, best. Everyone wants to know what the best options are. So create that content. Tell them what the best options are and include yourself in that listing, but do it fairly. Do it objectively. When you educate first, you are earning authority that you can then sell later. So the key takeaway is that if AI can answer these 5 questions better than your website can, your competitors are the ones that are going to show up. Your competitors are going to be the ones that have this visibility. Your competitors are going to be the ones on that short list, and your competitors are going to get that lead. So you need to start here. Talk to your salespeople. Ask them, what are the key questions that you're getting day to day in these 5 categories? Understand what those questions are for you. Start answering those questions on your website, in all of your online content, so that you can show that you are the one providing the clearest, most trusted answers. Okay, next move is to make key information clear, because transparency wins trust and friction kills it. So what's happening right now is buyers and AI both reward companies that make information easy to find and understandable. So every piece of vital sales information you hide behind a form, behind a login, behind call for more information, every call for pricing, every PDF that isn't searchable, that's friction that you're putting in front of buyers. So we want to remove that friction. Let's start with our specifications. Instead of just providing numbers and a lot of technical details, let's give them some context. Explain what they mean for different applications. That's how engineers and purchasing managers are comparing solutions. So let's answer it in a way that they understand it. Next is add pricing and cost transparency. As I mentioned, show ranges, what drives price, even total cost of ownership. It doesn't weaken your sales team, it builds credibility. So don't make people call your salespeople to get an idea of what it may cost. Let's answer it directly on your site and do it in a way that helps build your trust and credibility. Next, provide technical resources that buyers can actually use. Installation guides, compatibility charts, supporting documentation. When you're answering those questions before they ask, you become that preferred source. Offer application guidance. When your product works best in certain applications, better than others, let's lead with that. Let's talk about that so that buyers can avoid common mistakes. Honesty will earn trust faster than perfection. And then finally, share availability and lead times. If you have an e-commerce site, stock status. Are the products in stock? Will they be able to expect to receive them quickly? What are the delivery windows? Any information that you can provide that allow buyers to place that order confidently and save your sales team hours of time of back and forth calls for basic information that your website can answer. Do it that way. So the quick test, if a buyer has to click, call, fill out a form, or guess to get an answer, then it's not clear enough. You're putting friction in the way. When you make the information open, AI amplifies it and the buyer rewards it. The clearer you are, the faster you'll move to the top of the short list. And then after you made this information all open and clear, the next step is turn that knowledge into tools buyers can actually use, because that's how buyers and AI learn to trust you. So think about today's buying behavior. Most buyers want to self-educate before they ever talk to sales. So they don't want to um, compare and justify their choice on their own time. AI is doing that same thing. It's scanning the web. It's looking for structured content, useful content that it can recommend when someone's typing in those questions. What's the best solution for me? So that means that every tool you create that teaches instead of sells earns authority with you, with your customers and with AI. So I want you to start by building buyer's guides. And when I'm talking about buyer's guides, a lot of times people will think, oh, well, creating a buyer's guide, it's a PDF document that's going to be on my site. I'll put a basic form in front of it. I'll ask for their basic contact information for them to download. That may have been the 2015 way of generating leads, but it's not what I'm talking about here. These buyer guides need to be publicly available, not in PDF documents. They need to be pages on your site. Very detailed information, organized well so that people can slice and dice through the information that they're looking for so that they have all the variables that they need to make smart decisions. Same thing with comparison charts that help buyers weigh the trade-offs between models or methods. Implementation guides that show how to plan, install, or maintain your product step by step. And then finally, calculators and checklists, tools that answer the questions, what's right for me? Whether it's load sizing, return on investment, selecting the right equipment, these make buyers feel confident and capable before they make that decision, or they pick up the phone and call your salespeople. So to test if you're offering the right information, if a guide can replace one of those early sales conversations, that's great, because you are bubbling up in the AI shortlist so that people can see you when they're doing that research on their own. It's something that AI will recommend. So every one of these tools, in a way, becomes your silent salesperson that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to teach, build trust, and position you as the experts that buyers want to call. Okay, strategy 3, prove that you are the best choice. So you're visible, you're helpful, buyers can find you, and they're learning from your content. But here's where most companies are still losing deals. They can't prove they're the right choice. Buyers are doing their research, they're narrowing it down to 3 or 4 companies, and on paper, everyone looks the same. Same claims, same promises, same generic language, same products, but there's no clear leader. So buyers lose their confidence and they're not sure who to pick. And when buyers lose confidence, one of 3 things happen. They choose the safe big brand, they move to the cheapest option, or they do nothing at all. So every one of those outcomes is a lost opportunity. So strategy 3 is about putting the proof where buyers are actually making decisions. So here's what happens when that proof is missing. Buyers will do their research. They'll compare 3 to 4 companies. And like I said, on paper, everybody looks the same. But without some clear leader, they're either choosing the safe option, they're choosing the cheapest option, or they're doing nothing. And every one of those outcomes is a lost opportunity for you. If you have proof, if you have a way of standing out, buyers will not fall into this default system, mode of safety, price, or paralysis. So the real question becomes, how do you make your buyers feel confident that you are that right choice? You do that by answering the one question that separates the winners from the losers. Every buyer wants to know who else has chosen you and what happened. What were the results? Every buyer is asking this question, and so does AI. It's the filter that decides whether you make that shortlist or whether you do not. So when a buyer asks, you can answer 3 ways. The weak answer is vague name dropping. We've worked with many large companies and we achieve great results. This tells them nothing. Everyone says that. A better answer that's a little more specific but still generic is we've worked with several major manufacturers in the automotive sector. Okay, that's better. It's directionally helpful, but still not proof. This is the winning answer: specific, measurable, and verifiable. We helped Westfield Manufacturing cut maintenance downtime by 34%, and we did that in 18 months. And here's a plant manager explaining exactly what changed in a video testimonial. That's the kind of response that buyers in AI trust because it answers the question that they're really asking. What results can I expect if I choose you? So before we talk about what works, let's talk about what to stop doing. First is those anonymous testimonials like I just showed you. You know the kind: great company to work with, written by someone that lives somewhere and works somewhere. These don't build trust. They just raise suspicion. They're a waste of time. Get rid of them. Second is vague results claims. We help them improve efficiency. We help them reduce costs, but with zero numbers. Buyers see right through that. You need to make sure that your claims are verifiable. And then third, hidden customer lists. Saying we serve Fortune 500 companies, but refusing to name them, that's not impressive. That's a red flag. You need to list your customers. These don't build credibility, they erode it, and they will erode your trust. So this is how you build it. This is what real credibility looks like. Think of it like the pyramid. I call it the authority pyramid, the AI authority pyramid. Each level reinforces the one below it. The foundation at the bottom is team authority and qualifications. This is your team. These are real people with real expertise. Buyers want to verify who they're going to be dealing with. Who are they going to be working with? They look for names, credentials, experience that they can confirm. So make sure your team authority and qualifications are front and center. Above that, the next authority builder is industry recognition and award. This is awards. This is third-party validation. These are certifications you've achieved, associations you belong to, honors that you've earned that prove that others trust you, and buyers should too. Next is proven track records and results. I skipped over one. That's your evidence, measurable outcomes that show your claims are real. Then are your industry recognition and rewards. And then at the top, the most important, thought leadership and expertise. This is where you really show your difference. This is where your content, your voice, your ideas position you as the guide, as the expert in your space. Now, each of these levels strengthens the other. So that's why I want you to move from the bottom up. The more verifiable proof you stack, the more confidence both buyers and AI have that you are the right choice. So let's break down how you build each of these layers so it actually converts that trust into bankable sales. So at the bottom, team authority and qualifications. This is your people. Buyers in AI want to know exactly who's going to be doing the work. They're not looking just at your brand. They're checking the names, the faces, the credentials behind it. AI is already cross-checking your team's profiles across LinkedIn, your website, industry directories, association websites, and buyers are doing the same thing before they call. So let's make it easy for them to trust you. Show your professional degrees and certifications right on your site. Highlight your years in business. Highlight your projects that are completed to show your expertise. Include your team members, your project managers, engineers, account contacts they're going to be working with. And make sure those bios line up everywhere. Make sure that the LinkedIn profiles are complete. Make sure they're complete on your website. Maybe even include some videos, short video interviews. These show up as extremely credible proof points. The quick test: if your website just says "our experienced team," you're going to disappear. If it shows exactly who does the work, you're going to win trust. Okay, next is proven results and track record. Numbers beat adjectives every single time, and AI prioritizes quantifiable verifiable outcomes, not just marketing language. And so does your buyer. They're comparing results to their own goals and looking for evidence that you've solved problems that are exactly like theirs. And that means no more vague claims like improved efficiency or major cost reduction. Instead, you want to say, we cut downtime by 41%. We saved $47,000 annually for this customer. We completed 18 months ahead of schedule. Specific numbers signal credibility and vagueness signals doubt. So the quick test is simple. If you can put a number on it, it's proof. That's a real claim. If you can't put a number on it, it's not proof. So make sure that your claims are quantifiable and verifiable. Okay, next we move from your proof to outside proof. Well, who else has said that you're credible? Buyers trust external validators more than they trust your own claims because these are third parties that are commenting on you. And these are a powerful credibility signal. It confirms the results that you've already proven, and it confirms what you're saying in your marketing copy if it's truthful. So think about your quality certifications. These all tell buyers the processes that you use that meet this important objective criteria. Awards and competitive rankings do the same thing. When you can say that you're a top supplier in 2025 or you won the Excellence in Safety Award, that's verifiable proof that others have recognized your performance. Don't overlook any association leadership you may have, any members of your team. If you hold a board position, a committee chair position, you've spoken at an event, these are important. Show these so that you can show how you are not just in the industry, you're helping lead it. And then finally, compliance credentials and licenses, whether they're federal, state, or agency approvals, these add a layer of trust that's hard to fake. So the quick test, would your buyers recognize these valuable credentials, or would they just consider them wall decorations? If these are important to your buyers, these are going to help you win more business. And that brings us to the top of the authority pyramid, which is thought leadership and expertise. This is the level that turns your trusted people into recognized industry experts. Buyers just don't want to work with a vendor anymore. They want expert guides. They want people who can help them make smarter decisions before they even buy. And AI rewards content in that same way, and it rewards companies. It's designed to surface the content that teaches, explains, and builds confidence. So every time you publish an article, every time you speak at a conference or share a how-to guide that helps buyers solve a problem, that's helping you build your authority, and that compounds over time. So focus on content that educates and leads, things like articles in trade magazines, conference presentations or webinars, buyer's guides or selection tools, your participation in research or the development of industry standards. These are all signals that you are an expert, that you are a leader in the industry, and these will help you win more business. So the test is, does your content teach buyers how to solve problems or just promote your products? You need to make sure that you are teaching, that you're publishing thought leadership, expert content that will show that you are the company to work with. Okay, strategy 4 is all about transforming how you handle sales conversations. Most companies are still running discovery calls, and buyers hate those. They feel like they're interrogations, 20 questions designed to qualify them, not help them. And in the hidden pipeline where buyers are doing their own research, the best distributors and manufacturers are not doing discovery. They're running diagnostic validation calls. So think of it like a doctor's exam, not a survey. The goal is not to collect information and collect data. It's to diagnose what's really happening, validate the best solution together with that prospect. A diagnostic call positions your team as experts who can help the buyer make the right choice. So let's look at why traditional discovery is failing and what happens when you reframe conversations around validation instead. So the traditional discovery call is dead. Here's what happens. Buyers would call with a vague problem. The sales rep would say, Great. Would ask a bunch of questions. Let me help diagnose the issue. The rep guided them through options, the rep qualified them, and discovery was the value that you provided. That was it, not anymore. As I mentioned, today buyers are showing up having already done the discovery themselves. They've done their research, they're pre-researched. They already know their problem. AI had helped them diagnose the root causes. They compared a few options already, and they already know rough pricing and timelines. So they don't need your salespeople to discover anything. They need you to validate what they've already figured out to make sure that they are on the right path towards the best solution. So when you ask questions that they've already answered in ChatGPT, you're not adding value, you're annoying them. You're wasting their time and you're losing credibility. So that's why discovery calls may feel awkward today. You're not solving a problem that they need. You're solving a problem that they already solved by performing their own research. So in other words, if your first question is, so what are your goals for the next year? You've already lost the sale. Here's the difference between a discovery call and a diagnostic call. And this shift is where sales results will start to change, and your salespeople need to embrace this. As I said, discovery calls are all about uncovering the problem. You're asking, what's wrong? What have you tried? What's your budget? You're playing detective. The buyer's confused, they need guidance, and you're helping them figure out what they need. Well, that doesn't work anymore. In a diagnostic call, the buyer's already informed. They've done their research, they know what they want. They just need confirmation they're on the right track. So the salesperson's role changes completely. You're no longer a problem detective, you're an expert validator. Instead of asking what's wrong, you're asking what solutions did you research so far? What made that the right choice for you? What do you think could go wrong? That conversation shifts from finding the problem to helping them validate that they're taking the right approach to solving the right problem. Discovery ends the here's what you need. It goes towards you're on the right track. Here's what to watch out for. And that last sentence is what builds confidence to buy. Because buyers don't just need help identifying problems anymore. They need confidence that their next move is the right one. So discovery is not about uncovering. Discovery is about validating. And that's the difference between a vendor conversation and a trusted advisor conversation. You want to be trusted advisors. So let's talk about what to stop. These are the habits that smart buyers are rolling their eyes at. First is those starting from zero every time discovery calls. That's when your sales team opens the calls with basic questions. So, what are you looking for? How can I help you today? What are the challenges you're facing? Those questions used to work when buyers didn't know much, but today they already know because they've done their own research. So when you're starting at zero, you're not building trust, you're signaling that you're behind. The second is generic discovery scripts. We all know about sales scripts, and they're important and they have their role. But what we need to do is toss out the generic discovery scripts and reinvent them to be more validation scripts. The one size fit all list of questions really just does not work any longer. The goal is to start a conversation at the highest level of insight so that we can have intelligent, useful conversations for the buyer, help build that trust, and help gain that sale. So if they've already done their homework, you don't want to start the first question on the worksheet and just work your way down. You need to address buyers based on what they've already researched. So if discovery calls are dead, what replaces them? The diagnostic call, and this is the diagnostic call framework. First, it starts by validating their thinking. Start by letting the buyer walk you through their research. So tell me about the solution you're considering. What led you there? What have you learned so far? Ask questions that can help you understand where their thought process currently is. Second is refine the approach. Add a layer of expertise that maybe they couldn't find on AI. Say things like, here's where I would add based on what I've seen. Other companies that have produced great results, and here's what to watch out for. So you add on to the research they're already done with expertise that only you and your company can provide. You've identified blind spots that your experience can reveal, and that's how you move from a vendor to a partner. Third, you want to de-risk the situation. And this is how you've shown that you've been there before, that you've helped other companies do this. You say, here's what could go wrong, and this is how you can prevent it. Buyers really crave this. They don't want optimism. They want confidence that you've managed the scenario before, you know what could go wrong, and you know how to deal with it. And then fourth, you want to make sure that you scope out the next step. You're not pitching, you're confirming it. You say, here's what we need to validate before moving forward. That's what turns the conversation from a sales pitch into a strategic next step. So notice in these 4 steps, there's no sales pressure anywhere in this framework. You're not trying to convince them of it or anything. You're helping them feel confident they're making the right decision the right way. And that's how you win business now. And that's how you're going to win business in 2026, by validating, not persuading. Once the buyer feels validated, one final challenge remains, and that's price. And let's talk about how to win that conversation without discounting and that race to the bottom with the lowest price. And that's in strategy 5. Strategy 5 is about winning the price conversation before it even starts. Because if you wait until they ask you what's the price, you've already lost that conversation. You've lost control. So let me show you what's broken about the traditional pricing conversation. So here's the trap that most companies fall into. So look at the top. Let's look at the blue chart at the top. A buyer gets 3 quotes. Company A comes in at 44,000. Company B, that's you, comes in at 52,000. Company C comes at 47,000. And what happens just looking at these 3? Well, the buyer's going to select the lowest price because it's the smart choice, right? But let's look at what's actually happening. This is in orange underneath. When you add in the real costs, when you add in installation, training, maintenance, energy use, downtime, service response times, the full life cycle costs, that story flips completely. Your $52,000 expensive option from before, well, over 5 years, it's only going to cost $83,000. That $44,000 cheap option that they chose, well, that's going to end up costing $118,000. They didn't save $8,000 on this purchase. They actually spent $35,000 more by choosing on price alone and not considering total cost of ownership. And that's the trap. When buyers compare only the number at the bottom of the quote, they're missing that total cost of ownership, and you're going to lose. Price is what you pay once. Cost is what you spend over time. So what should you stop because these habits are just getting in the way of this pricing conversation? Well, that's first is just waiting for the buyer to ask, what's your price? By the time that question comes up, you've already lost control of the value conversation. Instead of leading, you're reacting. You're playing by their rules. And in that game, only the cheapest price wins. Second thing I want you to stop is sending price-only proposals. Just a proposal with just a price in it. You're not showing them the ROI. You're not showing them the payback period. You're not showing them the total cost of ownership comparison. It's just that one number. And when price is the only number on the table, it's the only number that buyers are going to use to decide. So that's how good companies are getting labeled as too expensive. They're focusing just on the price and they're not leading with that total cost of ownership to show that they are actually the smarter investment. So stop reacting to price and let's start reframing cost. How do you do that? You do it this way. Buyers compare what you give them to compare. And if you only give them price, that's what they're going to use. So AI looks for cost breakdowns. Companies that publish total cost of ownership analysis will show up as more credible. So what I want you to show is the purchase price plus installation costs, the full upfront investment, not just the equipment number. Let's be transparent so they can see the full total cost. Operating costs over a 3 to 5 year period. That's energy consumption, maintenance schedules, consumables, labor requirements, whatever those other operating costs are that they should consider. Downtime and productivity impact, those are the hours lost when things break down. Revenues are affected. There's timing to get replacements in. That's downtime that is a complete waste. These all impact their productivity. And then service and support costs. And this includes response times, parts availability, training requirements. These are all elements of costs. So what you want to do is lead with these and make it obvious that the other quotes they're looking at, these are the things they need to look at as well. So that if you could show that your total cost of ownership is actually the best option, the smartest option, it's going to make it easier for buyers to make the right decision, and they'll choose you more often, even at that higher price. So let me show you how to do this. There's certain places where you should be putting this. Um, Start with your product and service pages. Add a simple total cost of ownership section or a link to a calculator, even better. Ideally, what you want to do is explain the methodology in detail, how they come up with this. This is one of the best ways that you can show buyers and feed this information AI so that you can bubble up in those results. Update your pricing pages with full context, what's included, what others charge extra for, sample cost scenarios so that they can see that total cost of ownership and that they can see that they need to consider those items when they're comparing competitive quotes. Add numbers to your case studies, like I said before. Show the total investment, the 5-year cost, and the return on investment that they're producing. Build this information into your proposals and sales materials. And also on your Google business profile, include links over to your case studies and to your proof videos so that that information can bubble up and surface as well. So it's important to show this information in a very confident and very obvious way so that while your competitors may just be showing a price number, you're showing the real value evidence everywhere, the total cost everywhere, and why you're the smart investment, and that's going to help you win that deal. Okay, let's bring this all together. We talked about the 5 strategies to start and the 13 losers to stop. On the left, we have the 5 to start. Own that AI shortlist. Be findable where buyers start their research. If you're not showing up where AI and a buyer is searching for answers, you're already out of that running. Second, you want to answer questions before buyers ask. Make your website content the most helpful resource that your buyers have. Let's get away from digital brochure websites. Third, you want to prove you're the best option by providing undeniable proof on your site and in your materials. Fourth, you want to run diagnostic calls instead of discovery calls so that you can validate your buyer's thinking instead of interrogating them. And then fifth, win on total cost, not price. That's the way to win now, and that's the way to win in 2026. To fund these new initiatives, let's cut these 13 losers, organized by visibility, organized by content twice. It should be by proof and by sales losers. Okay, so here's where we are. There are 5 critical gaps that are costing industrial companies money. What you need to do is identify where you should be focusing on first. Which gaps are costing you deals? First is the AI shortlist gap. You're not showing up where buyers start their research. Or it could be the content gap. Buyers visit your site, but they're not getting their key questions answered and they click away. The proof gap. Buyers could be verifying your credibility before they call. The sales process gap. Your calls could feel like interrogations instead of providing the validation that's necessary. Or the pricing gap. When buyers see your price, they're not seeing your total value. From my work with hundreds of industrial distributors and manufacturers, I've seen this pattern again and again. And the average company has 2 to 3 of these gaps right now. And each one of these gaps could cost 10 to 20% of the deals that you should be winning. You're currently losing them. So here's what I would suggest. You can evaluate these gaps on your own, or the industrial growth audit is a working session that shows you exactly which gaps you have and how you can close them fast. What I will do is I'll audit your visibility, your content, your proof signals, your sales approach, and how you're framing costs. And I'll diagnose which gaps are draining the most revenue, and I'll give you a complete roadmap, prioritizing what leaks to close the fastest that will give you the best ROI. Now, these audits typically run $1,500, but I'm making the first three complimentary, just the first three for people on this call. Why am I doing this? Because I'd rather work with companies that already see the value in this system I just presented. Companies that are ready to act on what I found and what I presented as best practices. So if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, I probably have 2 to 3 of these gaps, but you're not sure where to start, grab one of these three spots. Scan the QR code or visit svmsolutions.com/IGA right now. Claim your spot and let's get you into a great position so that you can profit in 2026. Great. So let's get to your questions. If you have any questions, please enter them into the question box. If you haven't already, the Q&A box, I will address them. Let's take a look at what we already have and how we can help you. Okay. First question is, interesting. What's the biggest reason industrial marketing fails today? Well, it's because you're focusing on the 13 that I had listed, but essentially the theory is that you're still focusing on tactics that may have worked 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You're relying on outbound calls. You're relying on inbound marketing activities that just don't work anymore. The environment has changed. The biggest change is that when people are performing that search, not only are they going to AI, even if they're going to traditional Google, they're starting to see AI results there. And instead of seeing a list of companies' websites to click over and learn about, they're seeing the answer to their question. So you need to make sure that you're showing up in that answer. And those are the strategies that I talked about today. And those are the strategies that I want you to focus on. Next, how do we get leadership buy-in for this? That's important. You need to make sure that you get leadership buy-in. I recommend that you show the math. Show them the presentation that I put together here. They're losing deals, whether they realize it or not. Any one of these gaps can cost 15 to 20% of potential deals that are out there that you're missing out on. So if you frame it this way, if you frame it as lost revenue, they'll think of it as an opportunity they're missing rather than thinking of it as an additional expense in marketing activities. So it's a growth initiative, not a cost discussion. What if sales says we're giving too much away? This is one I receive a lot. A lot of old school salespeople will balk at a lot of these recommendations because they want to be the gatekeeper. They want to be the one that's providing that great information. And certainly that helps them appear more authoritative during that conversation. But as I mentioned before, it's not working now. Buyers are coming to sales calls 78% of the way down the buying path. They've done their own research. So we need to make sure that we're showing up in that research. So you need to show salespeople that, look, we need to show this information. You need to change the way that you're approaching sales calls. This will allow us to get into the mix for more deals. And if you refine your sales discussions, this will help you close more new business. So it's an education process. And that's what the purpose is of this presentation. It's the purpose of the audit. And it's something that you should be teaching your salespeople on a regular basis. Okay, we have time for one more. Okay. Which gap is the most common? Let me look at this list. I would say the AI short gap is the most common, followed by the pricing gap. The short list gap is where most industrial companies that have not refined their marketing practices in the last 2 years, if they haven't stepped up and realized that things have changed, traditional inbound marketing doesn't work anymore. We can't rely on Google for traffic to our website. If you're still focusing on those old tactics, you're losing this visibility war right now. So the AI visibility short gap is where most companies are losing money right now and probably one of the first places to focus on. Very good. If you have any other questions, I strongly encourage you to reach out to me. I will answer you directly. I love answering your questions about how to make you more effective, more profitable marketers, not only now, but in 2026. So please reach out with any questions. Take advantage of the industrial growth audit, and I will see you on our next masterclass. Have a great day.